Welcome back to Bookish Dives. This is our space where we really get into some fascinating insights from incredible books. We've had a couple of really great dives already, exploring different ideas. Today, we're tackling a collection of essays that feels particularly powerful and honestly very timely. It's Gurl Grrrl Grrrl, on Womanhood and Belonging in the Age of Black Girl Magic by Kenya Hunt. Our mission today is to unpack the most important nuggets of knowledge from this remarkable book. We want to guide you through its really profound exploration of identity and resilience.
Yeah, and it's such a vital book. The perspective feels urgent, especially when you think about when it was finished. Kenya Hunt started writing it during her maternity leave, but she actually finished it over a year later, housebound during the thick of the global COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. That context is huge.
It really is, because she observed how the pandemic wasn't just creating new issues, it was exposing and really deepening inequalities that were already there, especially for Black, Muslim, Latin, Asian communities, and critically for women who were just shouldering so much of the extra load.
So she's seeing these deep disparities emerge. But the book isn't just about hardship, is it? She finds moments of connection, too.
Oh, absolutely. Amidst everything, she witnessed these incredible acts of joy and solidarity. Things like Dean Ice's Instagram Live party, remember that? Drew like 100,000 people. Or that amazing Erykah Badu and Jill Scott music battle, over 700,000 viewers tuning in for that.
Wow. Yeah, those felt like real cultural moments.
Exactly. They weren't just distractions. Hunt frames them as these profound moments of collective Black joy, of resilience. And then almost simultaneously, the world just erupted in protests after George Floyd's murder. And Hunt really highlights how Black women were powering so much of that action, organizing marches, running justice work trainings, creating these incredibly powerful social media campaigns that reach millions. So the book captures all these pivotal moments, focusing on belonging, connection, resilience, identity, showing how these experiences were shaping a new understanding of Black womanhood.
That really sets the stage. It sounds deeply personal, but also speaks to these huge universal themes. Okay, so let's dive into the essays themselves, starting with the language Hunt uses. That title, Gurl Grrrl Grrrl, it really jumps out. What's the significance there? How does it frame the identity exploration in the book?
Yeah, the title is such a perfect entry point. Apparently, her son actually picked up on how often she used the word girl with her friends. And what she unpacks is how this seemingly simple word is actually this deep-rooted love language among Black women.
A love language? How so?
Well, it transcends age, class, generations, even geography. She describes it as like everything from a greeting, "Hey, girl," to an exclamation, "Girl, please," or even a rallying cry. It signifies this shared understanding, this immediate connection, whether you're celebrating something great or just, commiserating. It's a way of saying, I see you.
That's fascinating. And that journey of the word girl seems to lead right into Black girl magic, doesn't it? That phrase is everywhere now. Tell us about its origins and how Hunt looks at its impact.
It does connect directly. So Black girl magic, it originated from a tweet by Kayshawn Thompson. She created the hashtag Black Girls Air Magic. And the intention was really clear. It was to push back against all those tired stereotypes and lies about Black women. It was this bold proclamation of strength, beauty, inherent brilliance, not like asking for validation, but just stating a truth that was already known, just broadcasting it louder.
Making it visible.
Exactly. And the book shows how this magic shows up in so many different ways. It's Solange Knowles dancing in New Orleans. It's that image of Michelle and Sasha Obama stepping off Air Force One with such grace. It's the foundational organizing work of the women who started Black Lives Matter. It's Bernadette Evaristo winning the Booker Prize. Hunt points to Black women judges in Texas, Black women dominating beauty pageants, landing major magazine covers. Her core insight is that this movement really frees Black women from these narrow, limiting expectations, allows for a much wider, more authentic expression of who they are.
So it's a powerful affirmation, clearly. But does Hunt also explore potential downsides? Like, does it always leave room for the ordinary Black woman? Or can it sometimes feel like pressure to always be exceptional?
That's precisely the tension she gets into. It's a really important nuance. She definitely celebrates Black girl magic as vital, as powerful, but she also pushes back a little. Her point is, while it's brilliant at celebrating excellence and these amazing achievements, we also need to make sure it consciously makes space for the everyday woman. The magic, she argues, isn't only in the history-making moments. It's just as much in the quiet resilience, the everyday joy, the simple beauty of just being a Black woman in the world.
Without needing to perform constantly.
Right, without that constant performance or explanation. recognizing the magic in the mundane, in the quiet, in the journey of just trying to figure things out too.
Okay, so moving from that internal language like girl, Hunt then looks at external labels, and one that's had a really wild ride is the term woke. What's the book's take on its complicated evolution?
Oh, it's a fascinating, and she suggests kind of uncomfortable journey that she traces. She explains how woke started deep in Black activism, meaning, an awareness of inequality, of injustice, especially racial injustice. Like James Baldwin said, to be a Negro, to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time. That was the original feeling of being woke.
That deep awareness.
Yes. But then she shows how it morphed into this general with it term, just meaning someone socially aware. And then pretty quickly it got flipped into a pejorative, weaponized, really, by people wanting to dismiss or ridicule calls for social justice. Hunt herself says she has an allergy to the word now, precisely because it's been so commodified and weaponized.
It's amazing how a word's meaning can shift so dramatically and become such a political football. Does she explore why that happened beyond just, social media making it popular?
She does get into that. She talks about how woke kind of blurred the lines between politics and pop culture. And yeah, social media definitely fueled this rapid spread and then its polarization. But she argues it's ultimately impossible to depoliticize because it's fundamentally about power, awareness, and societal structures. Her deeper point seems to be that while it started as this powerful call to consciousness, its commodification stripped away a lot of that original weight. The book really challenges you, the reader, to move past the label itself, to ask, okay, what am I newly aware of? And more importantly, what am I actually doing with that knowledge?
That's a crucial question. And this whole idea of identity, how it's shaped by perception, especially external perception, seems to run through the whole book. Hunt uses her own experience moving abroad, right? American in London. What did leaving America show her about her own identity?
It was really transformative for her, according to the essay. She moves to London, and suddenly she's this curiosity. She faced assumptions she wouldn't necessarily get in the U.S., like taxi drivers, assuming she worked in IT.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then being genuinely surprised when she said she was a global fashion director. This constant sort of external gaze, it forced her to understand her Blackness, her womanhood, her Americanness in a completely new light. It revealed how much of her racial identity had been, maybe ironically, an American construct until she stepped outside of it.
Seeing yourself through others' eyes can be clarifying, I guess.
Definitely. And that leads into how these external things shape our internal self-perception, especially around something like beauty standards.
Ah, yes. The book touches on that quite powerfully, doesn't it?
Very much so. There are a couple of really poignant essays. Funmi Fetto's Upon Reflection is one. She shares this deeply personal journey from being a kid who loved photos to actively avoiding cameras because she'd internalized Eurocentric beauty standards. She talks about pinching her nose, even using sellotape trying to reshape it. Just heartbreaking. And how beauty products and media constantly pushed the idea of white-behaving hair. And similarly, Freddie Harrell's essay on hair talks about her journey to embrace her natural coils, seeing her fuzz, jazz as she calls it, not as a problem, but as something precious, defining. Both essays just powerfully show how beauty ideals get racialized and how that journey to self-acceptance is about valuing yourself internally, pushing back against those often harmful external pressures. It's a real reclaiming.
A reclaiming of beauty on your own terms, that connects to the Front Row chapter too, right?
Yeah.
About Black women being in fashion now, but maybe seen as a trend.
Exactly. Hunt pushes back hard against that idea of it being a trend. She argues this is a paradigm shift, not a fleeting moment. And it's the result of tireless, decades-long work. It wasn't something that just happened. She gives a lot of credit to people like Bethan Hardison.
The activist.
Yes. The model and activist who spent decades, mostly behind the scenes, persistently advocating for Black women's visibility and equity in fashion. Hardison didn't just talk about it. She actively worked to change the look and the culture of the industry, inspiring others, like Hunt, with that idea of lift as they climb. It's such a powerful reminder that presence representation, it isn't always just about merit. It's often about breaking down these systems that were designed to exclude.
Systems built over a long time, and this focus on perception, on public presence, it gets very personal for authors too, doesn't it? When their identity gets tied up with their work. Candice Carty-Williams talks about this in her essay on Queenie.
She does, very candidly. She talks about how her whole identity felt like it got wrapped up in the huge success of her novel, Queenie, And to handle all the public speaking, the interviews, the media scrutiny, she felt she had to create this persona. She called it people-facing Candice.
Wow, like a public version of herself.
Exactly. It helped her survive the spotlight as a sensitive introvert, but it also raised these deep questions for her about, where does the authentic self end and the public persona begin?
That's something a lot of people can probably relate to in different ways. That balancing act between our real selves and the expectations others have, especially when our work is so public, a delicate dance.
It really is. And the book doesn't flinch from exploring the heavier emotional weights of identity either, particularly around motherhood and loss. The motherhood chapter, for instance, looks at how pregnancy itself gets racialized, how Black women historically face pressure for pregnancy prevention rather than getting support.
And Hunt shares her own incredibly personal experiences with abortion and miscarriage there. It's quite raw. And she highlights the shocking disparities in medical care.
She does. She points to those stark, frankly heartbreaking statistics about higher maternal mortality rates for Black women, regardless of their income or education. The book really underscores how racial bias just permeates the system, affecting how patients are perceived, the quality of care they get. It suggests a system, as one medical professional put it, that often doesn't seem to value Black women's lives equally. It's chilling.
It really is. And that theme of systemic danger continues in Ibelia Okobi's essay Loss. It's just gut-wrenching. Raising a Black son in America, the fear.
Oh, it's devastating. Living with that constant terror of police brutality, her fear that her son's large hands could be seen as a threat. And even moving to London didn't erase it. She recounts his preschool teacher there, calling him a stupid little Black boy. Just shows how pervasive it is.
No escape, really.
It seems that way. Her family choosing to move to London was explicitly for perceived safety. Their summers in Ghana and Senegal were these deliberate acts to immerse their kids in Black joy. Acts of defiance, really, against the system trying to diminish Black lives. But then the ultimate tragedy hits her brother. Chinedu is killed by police. And that devastating event just proved that privilege, status, none of it guarantees protection from racial violence. It reinforces that brutal truth her lawyer told her: these white people don't care about you. It's just profound grief and fear.
That constant struggle and the resilience needed just to exist within it, that seems to be the heart of what the book calls modern activism. How does Hunt distinguish truly impactful activism from maybe the more surface level stuff?
She draws a really key distinction. She contrasts the sometimes performative, loud online outrage, which can be fleeting, with what she calls relentless everyday activism.
Yeah.
The kind that actually brings about lasting fundamental change. Bethan Hardison, who we mentioned with fashion, is her prime example again.
Right, the long game.
Exactly. Decades of quiet, persistent work, challenging norms, holding the industry accountable, just addressing the problems she saw, never assuming she couldn't change them. Hunt celebrates that unwavering belief, that marathon approach, as the real core of modern activism, not just the sprint of online callouts.
And then there's this interesting discussion around the term bad bitches. It's often associated with Black women, signifying power and excellence. But Hunt also questions if it can become an impossible standard.
Yeah, it's a really nuanced take. She acknowledges it as this powerful, complex term within Black culture, signifying confidence, success, being unapologetically yourself. But she also probes how that same idea can create this immense pressure, become an impossible standard to live up to. So she argues passionately for kind of a return to celebrating the magic in the ordinary, pushing back against the pressure to slay all day, every day, and the pressure to make every single aspect of Black womanhood somehow marketable or performative for others.
So reclaiming the right to just be.
Exactly. Recognizing the power and validity in just existing authentically, without the need for constant explanation, justification, or performance. It's a call for self-acceptance beyond those demanding external pressures.
Yeah. That feels like a good place to lead into the epilogue, The Way We Grieve. It sounds like it brings all these threads together.
It really does. It's a powerful close. It focuses on the collective grief, but also the individual grief over lives lost to police brutality. Names we all know: George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Toyin Salau. These deaths became hashtags, viral images, sparking this global movement, this immense heartbreak.
But even in that profound trauma, Hunt highlights how Black women, people like Kamala Harris, the activist Janiyah Khan, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors, even TikTok's Tabitha Brown offering comfort emerged as these beacons and stabilizers, offering guidance, strength, even moments of humor amidst the pain. That phrase, "I can't breathe," it became this universal call to action, transcending the individual tragedy. The epilogue shows how even in devastating loss, there's immense strength, this powerful undercurrent of I'm still here. I'm still rising. Wow. A message of enduring resilience.
Definitely. It resonates long after you finish the book.
Well, as you can clearly hear, Gurl Grrrl Grrrl isn't just a collection of essays. It's this profound, deeply personal, yet universally resonant exploration of what it means to be a Black woman today. It really asks us to look past the headlines, past the stereotypes, and understand the nuances of identity, resilience, belonging.
Yeah, it really challenges you, the reader, to question not just what you see, but how you see. It invites you to think about what it really means to acknowledge and celebrate Black womanhood in its full, incredible spectrum, the exceptional and the ordinary, the powerful and the vulnerable, and to think about how that understanding can enrich your own engagement with the world around you. It definitely leaves you with a heightened awareness.
Thank you so much for joining us on this really insightful deep dive into Kenya Hunt's Gurl Grrrl Grrrl. If you've enjoyed this exploration and you want more of these kinds of rich discussions about compelling books, please make sure to follow Bookish Dives wherever you get your audio. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive.